and takes place at Chancellor Park on the corners of Bleecker and Kent. If you'd like more information, visit our website.
It's time for the Cooper Group's road trip, traveling along scenic Route 20. We're seeing the USA in our Chevrolet Silverado crew cab, courtesy of Seaweaver Chevrolet in Yorkville. This week, Route 20 takes us to beautiful Sharon Springs. This region was internationally renowned as a resort and health spa in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. What a fascinating time and place where grand hotels cater to the elite, a gentle, serene, luxurious life of leisure.
Well, the town of Sharon was settled because of its prominent location on the Great Western Turnpike and the Lunenburg Turnpike meet here. But the lower village and the spa area was settled because of the attraction to the mineral waters. In 1825, David Eldridge built the first boarding house near the springs, and then for several years after that, grand hotels and large boarding houses were built to accommodate the increasing number of people coming because of the attraction of the waters. And Sharon Springs waters were internationally famous and attracted the wealthy elite from all over the world. And this was in the heyday, probably until about 1890, when it wasn't fashionable to take mineral baths anymore. Probably around 1920, Sharon was identified more as a Jewish resort. And initially, Jewish people from Germany came, and then Eastern Europe. And after, I'll say, World War II, there was a brief rejuvenation because of concentration camp victims came here for treatment. It was paid for by the German government. And there was a steady decline, probably starting in the 1950s up until the present.
If you would like to learn more about this fascinating era in Sharon Springs, you can pick up Sandy's books at Cobbler and Company on Main Street.
Since earliest times, Native Americans have revered the water here at Sharon Springs for its medicinal powers. And here in Sharon Springs, when you come, you will find the waters can be found in what's called temples. People come here from all over the world. While we were filming, we met a lady from New York City who was Russian. She comes here every year to get the water to be rejuvenated, and also she tells me to breathe in the air because the oxygen here, she swears, is good for her health for a full year. Yeah, okay. I know, well, you know. That is the best sulfur water I've ever drank. Or is it drunk? You feel drunk after you have some. Good, good, good. Next to me is what used to be the Opera House and the movie theater, and also the building directly in front of me used to be a hat shop. How do I know so much about the history of Sharon Springs? Here it's very simple. It's very easy to become your own expert about the place because they have these plaques. There are 20 of them all around the village that will explain everything about where you happen to be on your walking tour.
Cobbler and Company is an eclectic gift shop on historic Main Street. The 10 rooms on the first and second floor are filled with gifts. But for 50 years, up until 1970, it was a shoe repair business operated by the D'Amico family. Today, everything is almost as it was, from the flooring, cabinets, and tubs, and even the shoe repair equipment and tools. If Mr. D'Amico visited today, he could pretty much pick up where he left off nearly 40 years ago. The present owner, Maureen Lotus, likes to keep things the way they were, but is also excited and optimistic about Sharon Springs' future.
About 3 years ago, Sharon Springs Incorporated purchased the Adler Hotel, the Imperial Bathhouse, the Washington, and the Columbia, and some vacant land. And their intention is to make Sharon Springs return it to an international health spa and world resort. There are many of us this is our 11th year here at Cobbler and Company, and we very actively tried to maintain and restore some of the buildings and use them, put them to new uses. And so now it'll be kind of an interesting twist to see the new and the modern come in.
Tucked away in the beautiful countryside here in Sharon Springs, just about a mile south of Route 20, is yet another gem, and you wouldn't believe what they do here. It is the Thistle Hill Weavers, and this place, we've taken a tour just a few minutes ago, creates some of the most unbelievable fabrics, and I'm standing next to a weaving machine right here, and the items being produced there are the loincloths for the upcoming movie Indiana Jones 4. So when you go to see the movie, you can sit there and realize that part of this movie comes right from Sharon Springs. The costumes featured in the upcoming HBO movie John Adams come from here. And if you are hip like everybody else in this country, including myself, and have seen or will see Transformers, look at the flashback scenes because the costumes in those scenes come from here too.
I grew up in the generation that wanted to do things from scratch, and so I began spinning, first with a stick and a potato, and then I built my first loom. And once I started weaving, I realized that I had a particular interest and talent for it, and have pursued it ever since, which is now a long time. I am a textile historian. I have museum training. I worked for the New York State Historical Association for over 10 years. I'm still a consultant. But I'm one of the few people who has developed a method for being able to look at a historic textile and give it an identity and a date. And I teach that throughout the United States. And it's a method that uses scientific basis rather than just a sort of gut reaction. So I work with a lot of antique dealers, and I work with a lot of museum people. Most of our work is done for the film industry, for private homes, and for museums. And the work for the film industry is obviously the most fun, but also the most stressful. The work for private homes is wonderful because we really satisfy people's needs and they can't get it anyplace else. And the work for museums is probably the most detailed. Oh, they certainly can stop here. We love showing off. They should only stop here if they have an interest in process and an interest in textiles and looking at old, greasy machinery.
Rabbit's success, like the success of many small entrepreneurs, of course, is due to her crew. And her crew here is Rachel, Vicki, John, Jill, and Lisa, who are standing behind me and who really know this craft inside out.